Hi, I'm Matt Burns. Today is May 14th, 2025. It is my 26th birthday. And my journal today was about various different things I struggle with, things that I'm good at, and 9 thoughts that I have about life in total. I didn't want to say things that I've learned about life because I think these are thoughts of my own and I don't want to prescribe them as things to live by. The first thing I wrote down was things that I struggle with. It's easier to write about things you're not good at than the things you are good at. But I'm going to go back and forth between these things because I don't just want to talk about things that I struggle with. The first thing that I wrote down that I struggle with is the acceptance of past failures. I mentioned this in a video that I made yesterday, but I was back in my hometown this past weekend, saw people that I grew up with who saw me make, a ton of mistakes and dumb high school decisions or middle school decisions or something like that. And, I think about those things when I see those people, and I see, the way that those people look at me because of things that I did wrong, even if they were 10 plus years ago. And I think about those things that I did wrong, and sometimes it is hard to get over them and to sort of connect them with the life that I want to live now or the person that I want to be. So that can be something that's difficult for me. This is to a smaller degree, but I have a couple 5th grade students on piano, and boys, and one girl. And I also have some, kids that are in 4th grade going into 5th grade. And I remember back to 5th grade, and I remember getting angry in class. I think it was after a recess or something, and we came back in, and I don't know if I had been getting made fun of or something or whatever, but I had hit puberty really early, right? And I hit it like a train of bricks. And I think I just wasn't emotionally stable. I really wasn't emotionally stable that much as a kid. I got kind of angry and blew up a couple times. It didn't happen often, but when it did, it was really big. And I still remember throwing a desk or something. I'm pretty sure it was in 5th grade in the gifted class. So I always tell the kids, especially the boys in the 5th grade, I always tell them, I hope you're a little bit kinder and a little bit more emotionally stable and smarter decision maker than I was when I was in 5th grade, because that was a bit of a tough one for me. But the kids are always surprised because I'm just the chill teacher, laughing all the time, taking it easy. So anyways, on to the first thing I'm good at, caring about things that I'm involved in. I think that most people who know me would say that, if I'm involved in something, whether it's a band or, my relationship or a friendship or doing the right thing in general for the things around me, I think most people would agree that I try to do that. I think there are times where I come up short and I don't make the right decisions, but I think generally my friends and my family would say that I care a lot about the things that I'm involved in and the people around me, which I think is really, really good. My next thing I struggle with is my self-adequacy towards the things that I'm involved in, whether it's a band or whether it's my relationship or all these things, or the quality of my music lessons. I'm always thinking about what is my importance here. I think about my grandpa and my grandma when I think of relationships or something, or my parents and how they supported each other. And I kind of hold myself to that standard, and there are things that I don't know about, what happens in those kind of relationships or what happens between people that I think if I knew them, it would be easier for me to accept some of my shortcomings. But I know that sometimes I can feel a little, not quite like I'm doing good enough in the thing that I'm doing, even when I'm trying really hard. And so I can get a little bit, caught up in those things. The next thing I'm good at is I think I'm good at making other people feel comfortable. I grew up in a town of 40,000 people. I went to a high school of about 2,000 people. I was the only Asian kid, which is fine. Well, there might have been one other Asian kid. maybe. And there were two other Asian kids before, but then they moved for high school, and I ended up being one of them's roommate for college. So, but I think I'm good at making other people feel comfortable, and I think the way I got to be like that, a lot of it's from my parents, but I also think a lot of it is from, lived in a small town. It wasn't a small town, but it had small town sort of vibe. It was like small town on steroids. And it wasn't necessarily that I thought people there like hated me or something for looking different. It was more like, I think when you grow up in a place like that, you realize like people are just uncomfortable with things that are different, which is fine because everything they know is one way. If everything you know is one way, you will go somewhere that is not that way, and you will feel uncomfortable. It is just natural. That's my opinion on the circumstances I grew up in. Obviously, there are instances of things beyond that, but in general, I think that's what I faced growing up. And the only way for me to escape that with friends and a social life and all that kind of stuff, I think, is subconsciously to have let people get themselves to a place where they could let their guard down. And for me to do that, I needed to be forthcoming with myself and who I am and my personality. And I needed to be kind to people and try to put other people in a good place and safe. I wasn't always the best kid, so it wasn't like I did that all the time. But I think it's something that in general I gained a skill of that I carry now in my lessons with kids, or my just dealings with people in general. I think people open up with me really quickly, which I think is really, really good. The last thing I wrote down that I struggle with is letting people go. So like, not so much with like death and stuff. Death is terrible. It's a long process to go through with dealing with somebody's death. But sadly, I feel like I had a lot of death experiences around me from a young age that I didn't anticipate. And so it's not so much about people dying. It's more about like the people that I lost in my life reasonably because of the decisions I made that were just poor decisions. So like I have, let's say in my life I've had 200 friends. 100 of them I lost because of time and distance. 150 of them, let's say. And the remaining 50, let's say 35 are still my friends, or 40. But then there are 10 to 15 people who, because of poor decisions I made, reasonably, they decided to not be my friend anymore. And those are the things that suck, because I can't take the things that I did back. And I feel in that instance that I've sort of soiled like our friendship, and I didn't like cherish what I had with those people. So I think for me, letting people go in terms of that can be really, really tough. So I still have hard times, like somebody that I haven't seen in 2 years that I still consider to be, a good friend of mine, and maybe they have things that they feel about me that aren't, positive. I still feel bad about the fact that we're not friends anymore, because I think they're probably a really good person, and I think I came up short. But not to end it on a bad note. Things that I'm good at. I think I'm good at connecting with people in meaningful ways, which I thought was a little too similar to making other people feel comfortable. So I wrote down saying what I want to say. I have a very small filter when it comes to talking to people. Met this guy. I can't say his name because I don't want to put out his information on the internet. But his name was comprised of, his first and last name were a total of 7 letters. First name was 3 letters. Last name was 4 letters. And it just so happened that 3 out of the 7 letters in his name was L. And so when he told me his name, I was like, so you're telling me 3/7 of your name is L, and the rest of it, there's only one consonant and the rest are vowels. And he's like, yeah, I guess so. Like, he thought it was funny. Like, it wasn't like it was like an awkward, weird interaction. It was just, I said what my mind had thought up first out loud, and obviously that can get me in trouble at times. Sometimes I say things I probably shouldn't say, but a lot of the times, I think people see like what's going on in my brain. Maybe it's part of the making other people feel comfortable. Like, they see that I'm willing to give them a piece of what's inside of my brain, and maybe they're more willing to interact with me and give me the time of day on their end. So yeah, those were just things that I was writing about my life at this point. I also wanted to end this with 9 thoughts that I have about life in general, not their conclusions that I have made for myself about life. Some of these other people may share. Number 1, life is short. Everyone says that, but a lot of people frame it as in you don't have the time to be screwing around, you don't have the time to waste your life. But I put down that life is short, not just my own, but other people's too. Short aside, this will seem random, but I have this tattoo on my right shoulder. It's a skull. There's a rose in the eye socket, and there is a Roman numeral 18 carved on the forehead. It's 2025 right now. I got this tattoo in 2018. It was like September of 2018 when I was on fall break from college. It was my sophomore year of college. Long story short, 2 of my close friends, at one point, either of them were close to me, on 2 separate occasions, 2 weeks apart, died. One had a heart attack, one, he ended his life prematurely. And I think I learned then, they say, I always think of this tattoo, and I wanted to get a tattoo that said something along the lines of, they say treat every day like it's your last, but they don't say treat every day like it's anybody you know's last. Obviously, it's hard to think about that all the time, but that's why I got that tattoo, is to remind me of that and to think about the fragility of life, not just my own, but the people around me. Second thing I've written down is most things in life can be gotten over if it's with the right intent. There have been really, really crappy things that have either happened to me or that I've caused to other people or that I've been part of that hurt somebody or myself. And some of my best friends today are people that I worked with to get over whatever it was that either I did or they did. And we put trust in each other. We talked about the feelings that we had, how something made us feel. We decided to get over it together, and then we got over it. And now we're some of the closest friends that I have. I just realized I just look at myself on the screen and not the camera, so I'm going to get better at looking at the camera. Number 3, it's important to be kind, particularly to kids and elderly people. Kids, because they are like sponges, they will soak up the world around them, and you are not doing the world justice if you're not treating kids right. And for elderly people have spent a long time in this world, and they're deteriorating, and all of us want to be happy. And elderly people, particularly those with like mental, deterioration, they have their set of issues. So does everybody else in the world. And I just think of like myself, and I think of my grandparents or my elderly family members or my parents as they're getting older. And do I want them to spend their last years where they're already deteriorating physically and mentally? Do you want them to also deteriorate emotionally? Because there are a lot of lessons that you can learn from them, and you're not going to learn them if you're, spewing, if you're not kind to the older people in a way that would allow them to open up and share their life with you. So treat them kindly and spend time with them. Whatever number this is, everyone is a product of their environment. I come from a place where there's all kinds of people, even though they're all like white people. There's still all kinds of people. 40,000 people is a lot of people, no matter which way you slice it, and people have all different kinds of life. even if you're in the same town. I think about the town that I'm from, and somebody else might come to the town, might see the state of the town and the people in it and think one thing, but they're from a completely different place. And the people in my town may look at somebody else from another town and think something about them, but they're not from the same place. They don't know what they went through. They don't know their family life. They don't know their financial life. They don't know anything about their emotional life. And whatever prejudgments you make upon people, you have to realize that you're making those without really understanding the person at all. And the only way that you can actually get beyond those things and help create a community is by getting over those things and learning to get to know the person. There were times when I was growing up where, like, an older person would, see me at, maybe it was a grandparent at one of my friend's grad parties, and they served in, Vietnam or something, and they see me and, they go, "Hey kid, where are you from?" And I'm like, "Well, I was born right here, like 10 minutes away from here. But my mom's from Korea. My dad was in the military. They met, and my mom's been here for 50 years at this point." And, I could take it and I could think negatively of it, and I could think that this person is just there to, they don't like me, and they don't like people like me. But if I take that at face value and I run with it, then I give them no opportunity to take what I'm giving them and put it through real critical thought. And I think that obviously I grew up in those circumstances. I dealt with that. But I think everybody has their own kind of thing like that, whether it's race or gender, whatever, or somebody's gay or whatever it might be. Everybody goes through some kind of something like that. And we have to take that and flip it on its head so that we can become closer to each other. I have happiness or positivity is generally a mindset. My mom was born on dirt floors, and she made a happy life out of it. Obviously, she doesn't live on dirt floors anymore, but I can tell you she doesn't believe that she had a terrible childhood because she was born on dirt floors and in a hut. And there are a lot of people that I've met who have terrible circumstances. You wouldn't even know it because they show up every day to whatever it is that they're a part of. They're kind to the people around them. People love being kind back to them. And it's because they exude the positivity and they live by a positive lifestyle. There are things that suck. There are circumstances that suck. And there are people who have really, really terrible cards dealt to them. I will never deny that. But I do believe that you can find people who are positive in every circumstance, and you can learn from them that the positivity comes from inside of them, not from their circumstances. The next one, this must be number 7 because I have 9 of them and I only have 2 left after this. Good relationships are hard to maintain. Any kind of relationship, friend or significant other or family, super duper hard to maintain. It's a two-way street, but you have to realize that some people are just not good at reaching out. So, you might have a bad relationship with somebody. It might be because they're not reaching out, and maybe you can take on some more of the burden to do that. But at the same time, there are so many things in here. There's dealing with the people's faults. That's huge. Getting over it, accepting your own faults, them accepting your faults. It's just hard to maintain. 8th, we are creatures of habit. If you brush your teeth twice a day, it's probably because you're used to it. It's probably not because you like to do it, although you may like to do it. If you wash your hands after you use the bathroom, it's probably out of habit. It's probably not because you're thinking, "Oh, I should do this thing," although maybe you are. And the rest of our days, we go home from work, we chill out, do whatever, watch TV, you might grab beer, whatever you might do with your day. You might go for a walk, whatever it is. Probably, I don't know what percent of our life is based on habit. I feel like I've heard 85%. I don't know. But if you want to live the life you want to live, you have to make things into habit. That hits hard with me because I've always had a hard time creating new things in my life. Finally, the hardest thing to do is start. So this goes with anything: practicing an instrument, doing literally anything, posting a YouTube video, waking up in the morning, putting bed sheets on the bed. All of it, the hardest thing to do is start. So the best thing you can do is make the least amount of barriers for you between you and just starting the thing. Likelihood is the first time you do something, it's not going to be very good. But if you just do it and you make a habit out of it, you will probably find out how to become more efficient at it, to the point where you become very, very, very good at it someday. That's what I'm trying to do with all these posting. I've put up like 20-minute videos, like almost 20-minute videos, or 10-20-minute videos on YouTube, and I made at least one short almost every single day of the week since I've done this. Hopefully I keep it up. I would like to keep it up. I plan on keeping it up, and I will schedule to keep it up, which will actually allow me to keep it up. Same with my guitar practice and all that kind of stuff. But I have to build all that into my schedule, and I have to build a habit of a life that I want to live. So yeah, it's my 26th birthday. This is what I have learned and what I've concluded about life based on what I've seen all of my life now. Hopefully someday I'll be able to look back at this and examine my life in that way. Yeah, that's it. Happy birthday to me. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.